Hi, I'm Prophet Azad, and you're watching Atheist Edge.
Welcome to Atheist Edge. My name is Lance Bailey. This is Dom B.
Hello.
Hey, welcome.
Dudes! Or should I say, atheist, what is up?
Welcome to the show.
Thank you for having me. Appreciate it.
I gotta be honest, I have no idea who you are. And
many people do not.
And that's okay.
I mean, I think we'll get along fine. It sounds like we've had a pretty good catch up so far. So I understand you're into some photography and podcasting. Is that true?
Yeah. So
am I following along? So yeah, tell me, who the hell are you?
Okay. Well, I am a professional photographer.
Okay.
Don't mind the stuttering.
I've been doing that like completely since January. I've been doing it professionally for about 2 years, but now that's my only way of bringing home the bacon, So
So you've been doing it for a couple months now.
Yeah.
Like, did you know ahead of time that like you were gonna go that way, or was it just like you just got a camera and went with it? Like,
so I've been, with like the camera that I got, I'm not trying to show people.
yeah,
I'm
you
not
have to
trying
blank
show
out
off.
the name. we're not here to shield any particular company.
Yeah.
No, so I've had like a professional camera for about 2.5 years, and started charging around that time and stuff like that. But I was recently laid off from my job, and I was like, you know what? Now's the time to go just full speed, full blast. This is all I'm gonna do.
Living the dream, so to speak.
Sure, yeah, it is a sort of dream.
Okay. Yeah.
And on top of that, I also started doing a podcast, Don B podcast. Check me out. That started in November, and getting started on that was just a way to, almost like a journal of sorts at first. I love podcasts a lot. I listen to many different podcasts, and I just wanted to get in all the fun. It seems like a lot of fun to be able to express your ideas. I have guests on my show here recently. I haven't, but I'm going to start doing guests again pretty soon. I think that it's almost like we've lost our way when it comes to conversation. So
like we as human beings.
As human beings, yeah. So,
okay.
And what I mean by that is, when you go out to dinner or whenever you're doing something, you always have that rectangle in your face. The glow face zombies.
Wait,
exactly.
Hold up, no.
Before I say that, let me check my.
Yeah.
Gotta make sure, you gotta catch up with my peeps.
Yeah.
People that are more important than you, obviously, I really.
Absolutely.
So I always make it a point, to just kick my phone out of the way whenever I'm having dinner with friends or visiting with family. I'm the world's biggest hypocrite. I'll admit that, but I don't want to be a hypocrite about that because I think we're losing our way when it comes to communication or even debate. When I was Jim had asked me to come onto the show, Atheist Edge, I was like, I don't really deal with religion a whole lot. I do have my opinions on it, but
we're gonna get into those.
Okay.
But not yet.
Okay. I'll save that for.
Yeah, we're gonna save that one for after the crowd has warmed up to you.
Yeah.
Maybe, they gotta feel you more.
Okay. So that's who I am.
You brought up an interesting kind of thought that's been running through my head a lot about mindfulness. Are you aware of what that means? Kind of the practice of being more aware of your environment, like more
socially aware, and
well, just in general, like you said, like kind of getting buried in your phone or whatever. There's a lot of things that you don't really process as going on. Like small changes maybe that maybe you would have taken in and understood and really cared about, but we did I kind of feel like when you mentioned that about being in a conversation that that's something too. Like being in your phone means you're not mindful of your surroundings. You're not. I was just wondering if you'd ever heard any of that kind of philosophy before.
I feel that I'm ultra aware and overly empathetic, and it's this. Call it a disorder if you want. When I walk in, let's say I'm going to a restaurant or something, and I see someone, I don't know, they're walking with a limp or something like that, right? I come up with these stories in my mind of, I wonder how tough life is for that person. I wonder What's it like to have to live with that, or 2 kids that probably started at 15 or 16 years old, or they are that age. Like, how tough is it for that person? Like, instead of sitting down and eating my spaghetti, I have this cast of characters that I create, and it bugs me. I'll leave the restaurant thinking about it.
Okay.
So I think I'm too aware, and not to be braggadocious about that or anything, but it's just like I wish I could switch that off to where I just want to think about myself.
Okay. Well, that's
tough.
An interesting way to think about it. I mean, you've got, being that kind of overly sensitive, it's like you got a raw nerve just like constantly exposed. And I think that, people with maybe like depression or people with like a lot of like cognitive disorders, not saying you have any sort of disorder whatsoever.
No, I have depression, I have anxiety.
So I mean, that's something a lot of people like don't understand about kind of that. It's like, oh, just don't be so sad, like whatever. That doesn't
really.
That is not.
It's that easy.
Oh, geez.
I never thought about that.
Wow,
that's great.
That's fantastic. So just to kind of tie this back around, do you think that like improves your current hobbies? I mean, is podcasting, like I said, it sounded like podcasting was kind of an outlet. Do you feel like photography is also kind of a good for that? Like, is it kind of part of your personal therapy that you set up for yourself, I guess?
Well, sure. So I'll talk about the podcasting.
Sure.
Whenever I have a guest and I sit someone down, I think it helps me it helps with the ability to examine someone and as they're weaving through their life story. Because when I have someone on, say they're a model, or say
Nice.
they're an artist of some sort, whatever. You don't want to just know, what kind of paintbrush do you use? I want to know what struggles they have, what battles, how did they end up where they're at right now? I guess you can call me very curious, because of that. I mean, I feel like I want to have a conversation with anyone, atheist, scientist, Christians, whatever.
Sure.
I think everyone has a story, and it's usually worth listening to.
Well, with that in mind, what do you want me to ask you? Like, I got some questions, but what do you want me to ask you? Like, what would be?
I always believe just in a free form type of conversation when it comes to podcasts. Like, I take notes as well, and I have a guideline, but I mean, you can ask me anything. I'm an open book. I'll try to answer as much as I can. Some things I try not to speak about just because I don't know. That's
no problem.
Yeah.
That's how I live my life.
Yeah. So I've been in trouble with things like that. I regularly talk about science on my podcast, and I've been checked before where it was pretty cool because I was actually recognized out in the street. And
you have a pretty remarkable look, Is that Khal Drogo? No, maybe. Close. Get his picture with him anyway.
Yeah. So I mean, it was about. I think it was about Mars. I was trying to list some facts about Mars and the race to Mars with SpaceX and NASA and all this. And they pointed out that I was completely wrong on a few things, and I appreciate it.
Sure.
That I love when someone, I don't love it, of course, but I want to be right all the time, like anyone, but it doesn't bother me whenever someone points out a flaw or, because I have many, and like anyone else, so.
Except me.
Well, you're the most perfect person I've ever seen in my life. That's why I brought my camera.
Okay, good.
You're my model for the day.
Yeah. Go put me in a patch of blue bonnets.
Yeah,
all sexy
absolutely.
It sounded like you were talking about how you were maybe not so, you didn't really like being challenged, maybe, like it's uncomfortable to be challenged, but it also means that I kind of have a personal philosophy that like being really like gung-ho about something means that if somebody corrects you, at least you were confidently wrong. And I think that that's something that a lot of, we're going to have to segue to religion eventually, so I might as well do it now.
Let's do it.
But that's something that I feel is really, I've kind of struggled with when trying to, one, express, of course, my very strong atheist feelings about all this stuff that's going on in the world, life, and that sometimes the hardest people to talk to are the people who don't really care. Like they kind of are religious, but not really like hard religion. Like it's just like we should be religious because of reasons. And it's like I really have a hard time connecting with them because like what you brought up is like when you have a really hard opinion about something, you can talk about it. But when you have a soft opinion, it's like, I don't want to worry about it. I don't want to think about it. And so I think it's really important to be like dog-headed, pig-headed in any belief because that's the only way it gets properly challenged. But with that in mind, I understand we were talking earlier about your religion, and you said, what did you say?
I said that I created my own religion.
Okay.
And it's the I don't know religion. And for the low price of $1,232, you can be one of my followers.
Oh, is that all?
Yeah, I mean, you might get a free t-shirt out of it. Well, although it won't be free.
Sounds like it's not that free. Okay.
No, so this is what I say. And I've caught some flack on a few things. Because I like to bring up theories like the simulation theory. Are we living in a simulation? Maybe. I don't know. It could, maybe. But I ran an ad on Facebook just promoting that show. And on that ad, I caught a little bit of flack from someone who was religious saying, that I was completely wrong and God created the universe and all this. And you know what? Dude, you could be right. Maybe that's true. I don't know. So whenever I'm talking about religion or theories and even science, the thing I always say is, I don't know. Because I believe that there are neutron stars that are 20 miles across and just as dense as a sun and rotate 30 times a second. I believe that a black hole exists with infinite density, but I can't prove to you. I can't do the math to show you that this could potentially exist. So I have to go by the word of smarter people than I. Because I mean, they tell me eventually, if you do enough learning, then you'll eventually get there. And I believe that. That's why I lean towards science more.
Atheist Edge. Walking the edge of what some consider offensive. But your feelings don't matter here. Only facts. Edgy commentary on the dangers of doctrine, the foibles of faith, the bullshit of belief, the stupidity of superstition, and the idiocy of indoctrination. With razor-sharp wit, curiosity, and critical thought, we take an unblinking look at today's religions. We are Atheist Edge.